Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Wednesday evening, April 2, 2025. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video. I'd really appreciate it if you guys get this video up to 100 likes. If you don't know by now, that's how the YouTube algorithm works. We all like the video and then the YouTube algorithm pushes the video out to more persons who are in the path of these tropical systems so that we can keep everyone safe, especially during the peak months of Atlantic hurricane season, that's August through to October. Share this video with your friends, your co-workers, your relatives, and even your church brethren, and subscribe if you haven't yet done so. Please ensure that you all utilize the progress bar that's located at the bottom of the video, as well as the timestamps that are located not only in the comment section but the video description, so that you can skip to the points in the video that you want to see the most in order to save time, because we know that the videos over here with the Jamaica can be very long. Leave a comment down below letting me know what the weather's been like in your area recently. Also feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future weather in your specific area. Alright, so we're going to be looking at what the next 7 days have in store for us, according to the latest Euro and GFS supercomputer model runs that came out today. So keep your eyes focused on the timestamp right here at the top as we go out to the next one, John 6 to 8 hours, that's the next 7 days. Keep your eyes focused on Jamaica right here as we look for all of this that we see on the key on the right. That's the reds, the oranges, the yellows, and the greens that represents inches of rainfall. So let's see what's going to be taking place. As we head into Thursday morning, we know 12Z is actually 7 a.m. Look at all of the moisture to the south of Jamaica. Look at the moisture across eastern parishes according to the latest Euro. Then by Thursday afternoon, we have that rainfall across mainly central and western parishes. What does the latest GFS show? Do we have consensus on both maps? 7 a.m. on Thursday shows the rainfall to our north, to our southeast. Then by Thursday afternoon, we see that rainfall more so across northern and western parishes. So we have some similarities, we have some differences here and there. On Friday morning, however, we see that rainfall across eastern parishes, rainfall to the north and south of the island according to the latest Euro. Then by Friday afternoon, we see rainfall mainly across central and western parishes. What does the latest GFS show for the same time period? Friday morning has that rainfall also across eastern parishes on the GFS. Then Friday afternoon has that rainfall mainly across central and western parishes. Let us see what Saturday has in store for us. On Saturday morning, we see some rainfall in the greens to the south of us, to the north of us, according to the latest Euro. Then by Saturday afternoon, we see that rainfall across mainly eastern and western parishes. What does the latest GFS show for the same time period? Saturday morning, rainfall across eastern parishes. Saturday afternoon, rainfall across sections of central and western parishes. Then as we head into Sunday morning, what do we see? We see some rainfall across eastern parishes. Then on Sunday afternoon, the rainfall is going to be across eastern, central, and western parishes. What does the latest GFS show? Sunday morning, rainfall to our northeast. Sunday afternoon, rainfall across northern and western parishes. Let us see what the latest Euro is showing for the Monday morning time frame. We can see some rainfall to our south and west as well as across the far eastern end of the island. And then by Monday afternoon, we see that rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes. What does the latest GFS show for the same time period? Monday morning has rainfall to our west, rainfall across eastern parishes. Then Monday afternoon has that rainfall more so across some northwestern parishes. And we also see that long line of showers associated with a possible frontal system off the east coast of the US, extending down to Florida into the eastern Gulf and Central America. And we see something similar on the latest GFS too. Let's see what Tuesday morning has in store for us. 7 a.m. on Tuesday has that rainfall to our southwest, and then on Tuesday afternoon we see that rainfall more so across sections of some central and western parishes. What does the latest GFS show? Tuesday morning, rainfall to our south and west. Tuesday afternoon, rainfall across western parishes. And then we're going to be stopping it right here at the end of the 1 John 6 to 8 hours. So this is valid for 7 a.m. on Wednesday, April 9. And we can see the moisture associated with that possible frontal system, cold front, extending down to the Bahamas, Cuba, the Western Caribbean, including the Cayman Islands, Central America right there. Don't see much happening across Jamaica for Wednesday morning. But let us see what the latest GFS is showing for the same time period. The same time period shows that frontal system extending down to the Bahamas, Cuba, Central America, the Western Caribbean. Don't really see much happening across Jamaica at that time either. Even by the end of the day on Wednesday, we still don't see much happening. It's going to be interesting to see how it all unfolds. And regarding the latest total accumulated precipitation forecast maps, as we can see here, over the next 7 days, we have a very colorful western hemisphere, including Central America, Northern South America, and the Caribbean. We know the greens into the yellows into the oranges and the reds represents what we see here on the key on the right. That's anywhere from 0 0.1 of an inch of rainfall all the way up to an inch or more of rainfall. While the purples into the pinks and the dark reds represents anywhere from 2 all the way up to 5 inches of rainfall. And we can clearly see that the most rainfall that's going to be experienced over the next 7 days over the western hemisphere should basically be across portions of Northern South America and even portions of Central America. As we can see, these areas shaded in the dark reds, purples, and the pinks, that represents the 2 to 5 inches of rainfall. We're talking about Guyana, Suriname, French Guyana, Trinidad and Tobago, Venezuela, Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica. We also see sections of Western Honduras, Belize, the Yucatan, and the Guatemala embedded in some of those dark reds and purples. And we can clearly see that it's not only the GFS here that's showing this, but even the Euro model that's showing something similar. While anywhere from 0 0.1 of an inch of rainfall to an inch or more of rainfall is going to be experienced across portions of eastern Honduras, Nicaragua, sections of northern portion of the Yucatan, section of western Cuba, the Cayman Islands, central and eastern Cuba, the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, Jamaica, Haiti, the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, the US and British Virgin Islands, St. Martin, St. Kitts and Nevis, Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda, Montserrat, Guadeloupe, Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, and the Grenadines, Grenada, Barbados, section of the ABC Islands, and we clearly see that both the Euro and the GFS models are in agreement with this forecast. I know that when they're in agreement like this, the chances are higher for it to take place. So clearly, the most rainfall that could trigger some amount of isolated flash flooding should be across portions of Northern South America into portions of Central America. Either way, we're going to be looking at what the next 7 days have in store for us across the island of Jamaica. And not much change. We see the blues into the greens into the yellows. That represents anywhere from a millimeter of rainfall all the way up to 30, maybe up to 40 millimeters of rainfall. We clearly see that over the next 7 days, what both maps are having in agreement is that we're going to be receiving anywhere from 30 maybe up to 40 millimeters of rainfall, especially across eastern parishes. Look at this, the GFS going all the way up to 44 in the far eastern end of St. Thomas and Portland. The GFS only showing those greens representing anywhere from 15 to 25 millimeters of rainfall out west. The Euro is a bit more robust with that rainfall out west, showing some yellows that represent all the way up to 42 millimeters of rainfall. And we know that most of this rainfall that's going to be affecting eastern parishes is going to take place during the morning, and most of this rainfall that's going to be affecting central and western parishes is going to be taking place during the afternoon when we've had that daytime heating. And whatever happens, I'll definitely be here to keep you posted with what occurs on our other social media platforms, so please ensure that you're following us there. Taking a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening, we can see a frontal system right here extending across portions of the United States all the way out to sea into the northern portion of North Atlantic. And we see a ridge of high pressure right here to the north that we know is responsible for sending all of the strong easterly trade winds across the main development region into the Caribbean. And it's going to be the order of the rest of the week. Definitely even more windy conditions expected on Thursday, Friday, and even Saturday for sure. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before we lost the sunlight, we can make out the low level flow and the mid level flow of the clouds being steered from east west, all courtesy of the ridge of high pressure to the north. And we can see the clouds associated with that frontal system extending into portions of the United States, where we have another low pressure system definitely causing bad weather as we speak across the south central US. Lots of severe weather taking place, even tornadic activity. Hope those persons are over there staying safe over here. We'll be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Wednesday, April 2, 2025. It was stated that rainfall would have been in the forecast of parts of eastern Jamaica on a Wednesday morning, also affecting sections of some central and western parishes during Wednesday afternoon. And we know Eastern Jamaica, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Surrey, like Portland, St. Thomas, Kingston, St. Andrew. Central parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Middlesex, like St. Anne, St. Mary, Manchester, Clarendon, St. Catherine. While Western parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Cornwall, like Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, Westmoreland, and St. Elizabeth. And what ended up happening? At around 6:31 a.m., the visible satellite images posted right here on our Twitter page with the Jamaica, as well as on our Instagram page with the .Jamaica, on our TikTok page with the Jamaica, and on our Facebook page with the Jamaica 876. So if you have one of those social media platforms, please ensure that you follow us there as we make posts throughout the day that you can't afford to miss. So this morning at around 6:30, I definitely had to make a post because I live in St. Thomas and I got a nice heavy downpour right before I left out for work. It was quite the downpour. Strong winds as well. Nice heavy bout of rain. I haven't seen some good rain like that in a long time and I'm indeed grateful. So that definitely confirms the rainfall that we got in eastern parishes that was predicted. And then by around 3:05 p.m., the visible satellite images were posted once again, and they highlighted some clouds bringing some isolated thunderstorms across inland areas of some central parishes as well as sections of some western parishes. So definitely sections of southern St. Anne, northern Clarendon, sections of northern Manchester, sections of Trelawney, sections of St. James, northern St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland and Hanover definitely got in on the overcast skies, if not some isolated thunder shower activity. And we know it's thunder shower activity too because we see the sparkling yellow dust in there that represents some amount of lightning strikes, if not lightning flashes. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of Jamaica before we lost the sunlight, we can make out the low level flow and the mid level flow of the clouds being steered from east to west, and we can make out the upper level flow of the high cold cloud toss being sheared off towards the east. And we can see that even although we're losing the sunlight, we're still getting in on some amount of clouds, bringing some overcast skies, if not some isolated shores, across portions of the southern and the western portions of the island. And if we take a look at the infrared, we can make out the convection even better. First of all, the sparkling white dots that represent the lightning strikes, if not lightning flashes, and the blues into the greens that represent that upper level flow of the clouds being steered from west to east. As you can see here, all courtesy of the upper level wind shear blowing those high cloud tops off towards that direction for sure. We definitely had some convection out west as predicted, but not really much taking place on the Crossroads camp today. Loading it back at around 2:20 p.m. we can see that it was definitely sunny, people walking about, going about their business, people in their vehicles going about their business. And I'd like for you to keep in mind that if you'd like to see more live streams like this, just visit See Jamaica on YouTube. They have these live streams for your viewing pleasure, and they're planning on increasing the amount of cameras that they have in and around the island. So subscribe today so that you don't miss out, as they also have the halfway tree camera, the panoramic city view camera, even a camera out there across the Bogwalk Gorge. Alright, so let us take a look at the total accumulated precipitation for the past 24 hours from the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology website. I'm pretty sure that this map paints a picture of where we had the rainfall in the morning across the eastern end, then across especially western parishes during the afternoon, St. James, Hanover, Westmoreland, northern St. Elizabeth, northern Manchester, inland areas of some central parishes in general. It definitely paints quite the picture of where we might have had that rainfall today. And we have some comments here from some of our subscribers and followers on our YouTube page. Firstly, we have Bob Brown 3953 stating rainfall in St. Mary, thanks for confirming. We also have Lawrence Davis 6195 stating clear skies, nice, as well as Active 4081 stating windy. Even on our Instagram page, we had Giovanni Panton stating Spanish Town, sunny. On our Instagram page, we have Rayan stating raining in Hanover. Marlon One God, we have windy. We even have Latoya Taylor on our Facebook page stating sun hot and very windy in St. Elizabeth, and it's gonna be even more windy or windier on Thursday, Friday and Saturday, so look out for that. Ensure that you have your mask ready because boy, all of these strong winds are definitely causing a dust nuisance for us. I think I'm gonna have to make that post once again. Alright, so let us reload the very latest still image from the Weather Nerds website. Let's see what's taking place right now. The very latest still image is as of 25 UTC, which is actually 7:25 p.m. So this just came out 5, 10, 15 minutes ago, considering that it's 7:40 p.m. right now. And we can make out some clouds right here across the western end, western Hanover, western Westmoreland. We also see some clouds right here out to sea to the west of the island. We also see some clouds right here to the east of Portland and St. Thomas. Do these clouds have moisture within them? Do we have the latest Cuban Doppler radar image to show to confirm? Unfortunately, no. It's showing April 2, yes, but it's showing around what, 12:52. That was the last time it showed something. It was showing something at around 4 something a.m., 5 something a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But boy, we know how glitchy this map is, and the Doppler radar would have been showing maybe some of that rainfall out west or out to sea, or maybe even east of Portland. Let's see what's taking place on the Guantanamo Bay Cuban Naval Radar Imagery. This hardly glitches out, but it's just the range. I wish it showed more of Jamaica. It only shows eastern Cuba and the western peninsula of Haiti, where we see some amount of greens into the yellows represent some moderate, some slight heavy rainfall. We can even make out some of that rainfall to the east of Portland. Look at that, heading towards Portland. Let's see if we stop it at the latest time. The latest image right there is as of 0020, which is actually 7:20. So it's a bit behind, but it still shows that rainfall to the east of Portland. It might already be taking place, or just to the east of there, getting ready to come in. We can make out the cloud associated with it. So let me know if you're in eastern Portland. Let me know if you're gonna be, or if you're getting rainfall, maybe by the time this video is up. Let's see what's happening on the Cayman radar now. Let's reload this, that we have the very latest to show. The latest Cayman radar is showing that rainfall out west. So remember, we're talking about the infrared showing some milky white shades that represent cloud cover. The Cuban Doppler radar glitched out, so it wasn't showing that. The Guantanamo Bay Cuban radar not showing that far away, but the Cayman radar that's showing the Cayman Islands definitely showing that rainfall to the west of Westmoreland and Hanover, and definitely dissipating. We can also see some isolated shores to the south and the southwest of the Cayman Islands as well. We can even make out the convection that portion of central Cuba got in on today. And if we take a look at the live camera from See Jamaica's YouTube channel, showing what's happening right now at around 7:40 p.m., we can see people driving about, going about their business. Nothing in the way of bad weather taking place. Let's see, 7:43 p.m. as a matter of fact. So just reloaded it. Now it's showing the live stream. Clearly we can see that it's dry conditions for the evening, and we can also see that the Rio Cobra is chilling as well. Alright, let's see what's taking place right now in terms of the temperatures. Clearly we can see up to 26 degrees Celsius in both Montego Bay and Kingston, and by about 4 a.m. on Thursday, temperature should dip down to about 24 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 23 degrees Celsius in Kingston. Taking a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow. This map from the GFS is valid for 18Z on Thursday, which is actually 1 p.m. on Thursday. And we can see Jamaica right here embedded in some grays and some yellows. That represents average to slightly above average temperatures. And we know the average temperature for the month of April across Jamaica is around 88 degrees Fahrenheit. And when that's converted to degrees Celsius that we use here in Jamaica, that's around 31.1 degrees Celsius actually. So given the temperature forecast for tomorrow with the grays and the yellows, anywhere from 31 to 32 degrees Celsius at most for Jamaica's temperature on Thursday. And we have a few maintenance outage advisories here from my JPS Online's Twitter page that we have to highlight. I know that we have to highlight these because you know that when we have power outages somewhere in Jamaica, it can definitely make the heat feel even worse because we don't have our fan or AC to cool us down. So if you live or work in these areas, or if your friends or relatives who live or work in these areas, let them know that a power outage is coming their way on Thursday, April 3, 2025. We're talking about Hampton, Kemshot, Camrose, Endeavour, all in the parish of St. James from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. We also have Keith Ives Road, part of Sheepspen, New Forest of Alligator Pond Main Road in the parish of Manchester from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. We also have Halifax in Manchester from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Galena in St. Mary from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Ponton Road in St. Andrew from 9:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. And finally we have Dalton Avenue and McCarthy in St. Thomas from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And we have some tips right here to beat the heat as usual. It states here, dress down, wear lightweight clothing and use sunscreen. Check on others, including children, elderly people with medical conditions, and pets. Be cool, stay indoors, and make use of fans and air conditioners. Avoid alcohol and caffeine as they can make dehydration worse. Limit non-essential strenuous activity during the hottest part of the day. And I cannot stress enough the importance of staying hydrated through the day. Even if you're not thirsty, drink lots of water and put away those sugar drinks and drink water instead. Taking a look at the dry air map, we know that the dry air is represented by what we see here on the key on the bottom. That's the yellows, the oranges, the reds, and the greens, and the reds and the whites within those reds. That represent the dry, stable air mass that makes it hard to rain, that makes it hard for us to get storms or hurricanes in general. But what we like is the fact that we see some low end of the scale in terms of dry air in there. That's the yellows. Not to mention the blues that represent some moist air, especially across the intertropical convergence zone, here across the Atlantic as well as across the Eastern Pacific. That's what we want to see. We want to see the low end of the scale in terms of dry air, as well as the blues that represent moist air, that we can get more rainfall to keep water in our pipes. But regarding the Saharan, those forecasts for 18 UTC on Thursday, which is actually 1 p.m. on Thursday, we see the brunt of the Saharan dust in the dark brown shades across Africa, portions of Europe, and Asia right there. We're glad that it is staying all the way over there and not really entering the Caribbean, but some of it, as we can see here by this lighter brown shade, is seeping into the main development region and the Caribbean, up to an intensity of maybe 23, 24. We see right here it's definitely pushing westward, because earlier this week it was more so across the main development region. Now it has gotten to the eastern Caribbean, or this is where it's supposed to be tomorrow by 1 p.m. across portions of the southern Leeward Islands and the Windward Islands, Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados, Grenada, St. Vincent and Grenadines, Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia, Guadeloupe. Definitely going to be getting on some of that. They might see some slight haze in the sky. Just hope that persons have their medications just in case. Either way, we can clearly see that the greater Antilles, including Jamaica, most of Northern South America, Central America, and North America, definitely going to be in the clear. So prepare yourself just in case some of this actually makes it westward. We like the fact that usually the more west it goes, the more it dissipates. So let's hope by the time it gets to our area, if it gets there, most of it has dwindled down. Regarding the wave forecast for tomorrow, the waves are definitely robust, extending from the Bahamas, the eastern to the central and western Caribbean, the Gulf. We see the purples, we see the pinks, we see the burgundies. Represents anywhere from 2 all the way up to maybe 3, maybe 4 meter wave height, and that's because of the winds that are expected. The ridge of high pressure to the north definitely doing a number on the Caribbean. It's right up in here, and look at the strong easterly flow curving all the way around. Look at that. More of a southeasterly flow across the Gulf, more of a northeasterly flow across the eastern Caribbean, more of an easterly flow across the central Caribbean, more of an east-southeasterly flow across the western Caribbean. But we can clearly see the strength of the winds. We're talking about those bright greens into the yellows. That represents anywhere from 20 to 25, maybe even gusting to 30 knot winds. This is going to be windy. It's definitely going to be causing a lot of dust in the atmosphere, so make sure that you have your masks handy, because boy, the respiratory illnesses will definitely be ticking up for sure, as we can see here. And if we backtrack a bit regarding Jamaica's wave forecast for tomorrow, up to 2 meter wave height is being experienced on the north coast tomorrow, south coast 2.7, maybe even up to what, maybe even up to 3. Well, this is 2.9, round it off, that's 3 out there to the southeast of the island. So there is definitely a possible craft warning. So I hope that the fisher folk are taking necessary precautions so that they're not that drastically affected. Look at the winds, 20 knots, 24 knots right here to the north of St. James. Look at the winds on the south coast, 22 knots. What, right here to the south of Kingston, 22 knots as well. And clearly we see that the winds are going to be coming in from the east. And we also see that the least amount of wind should be across portions of western parishes, as well as inland areas of some central parishes. So we might just get a repeat of what we got today. The air piling up across, taking to some western parishes, bringing some isolated showers, if not some thunderstorms to those areas. Maybe some isolated showers across inland areas of some central parishes too. And with the upper level winds coming in from the northwest, it could definitely favor more of the action across southern parishes. If we actually get convection, if we look at the infrared, this is what we're referring to. Do you see how the upper level clouds are being streaked off towards the east when we had that convection? If we get convection, the upper level winds will be coming in from the northwest tomorrow, so it could bring more overcast skies, maybe even more of the weather across sections of some southern parishes. And if we take a look at the actual rainfall forecast maps now, this map from the Euro and this map from the GFS are both showing 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 9 a.m. Jamaica time. And we can clearly see that we have some blues represent rainfall across St. Thomas and Portland on the GFS. The Euro is not only St. Thomas and Portland that is showing, but even central parishes too. And the thing is, this rainfall that's forecast for this time starts even earlier than that, so it could already be raining before we even get to 9 a.m. on Thursday across portions of some eastern parishes. And clearly we see that there's an easterly flow, so whatever takes place in the east could push westward into portions of Kingston, St. Andrew, maybe St. Catherine, St. Mary, St. Anne. We'll see it actually plays out. And then by around 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 2 p.m. Jamaica time, look at what's expected. We see the blues represent rainfall still across sections of Portland, but sections of northern St. Catherine, northern Clarendon, and sections of St. Anne, Trelawney, St. James, Hanover, Westmoreland, northern St. Elizabeth getting in on the action. The Euro is trying to incorporate the same areas, but it's also trying to incorporate portions of Manchester and southern St. Elizabeth. We'll see it actually plays out. I'll definitely be here to keep you posted with what occurs on our other social media platforms. Regarding the total accumulated precipitation for the next 24 hours from the Euro and the GFS, we can clearly see that these maps are showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until 3Z on Friday, which is actually from now up until 10 p.m. on Thursday. We can see the greens into the yellows into the oranges. It represents anywhere from 0.1 of an inch of rainfall up to maybe 0.5 of an inch of rainfall across the far east, across the far west. On the Euro, the GFS is showing something similar across the far east and the far west. The far west picking up even more up to the reds that represent maybe up to 0.1 or 0.75 or up to an inch of rainfall. It's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out, and whatever happens, we'll definitely take it. We're now in the month of April, we're done with March, we're done with the driest month of the year. Starting to get in on a rise in the rainfall now. In Kingston, whose bar graph is being shown right here at the top, we usually receive up to at least, this looks like 35 millimeters of rainfall for the month of April. In Montego Bay, whose bar graph is being shown right here at the bottom, we usually receive up to what, 3.7 inches of rainfall. And I'd like for you to keep in mind that if you'd like to find out what your specific parish usually receives for the month of April or for the entire year in terms of rainfall, you can visit www.weather-and-climate.com, and that website will show you that information. And you can use this nice graphic right here that converts rainfall from inches to millimeters. We know that 1 inch of rainfall is about the same as 25 millimeters of rainfall, so you can do the math yourself. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let us focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So as stated, we have some low-level clouds being steered from east to west all across the Atlantic into the Caribbean. You can see the usual convective bursts across portions of northern South America. We see the severe weather taking place across portions of North America as we speak. The thunderstorm activity across portions of Cuba and Hispaniola today. And look at all that moisture passing to the south of Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico earlier. Lots of moisture for sure. And if we take a look at the Doppler radar imagery of the northeastern Caribbean, let's see what's happening down there near Puerto Rico. We see some isolated hit or miss showers in and around British Virgin Islands and eastern Puerto Rico. We also see an increase in moisture in and around Dominica, Martinique. Well, Dominica, Martinique, Guadeloupe, Montserrat, St. Kitts and Nevis, Antigua and Barbuda. And if we load these images from earlier today, we can see that portions of eastern, central, and western Puerto Rico we're definitely getting on some amount of showers, especially western Puerto Rico. We had that moderate to heavy rainfall in the dark green, yellows and oranges and reds. And if we take a look at the Barbados radar, we can make out some isolated hit or miss showers coming in from the east-northeast as well. With that east-northeasterly flow, you can make out some of these isolated showers pushing in from the east towards portions of Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, and the Grenadines, Grenada, Tobago, maybe even as far southwest as Trinidad. And if we take a look at the weather view of Doppler radar images, we can see that rainfall pushing into Trinidad too, section of eastern Venezuela, Guyana, Suriname getting in on the action too, such as well as Colombia, sections of western or northwestern Guatemala, section of Mexico getting in on some of the action too. And regarding where the rainfall is expected within the next 24 hours, both maps here from the year and the GFS are adamant that the most rainfall over the next 24 hours should be across portion of northern South America. Look at Guyana, Suriname, French Guiana, northeastern Venezuela, section of southern and western Venezuela, Colombia, Panama, section of eastern Costa Rica, eastern Nicaragua. We also see an increase in moisture expected across portion of the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, Section of Jamaica getting in on the mix. We also see some isolated showers definitely in store for section of Guatemala, section of Honduras, El Salvador, the eastern portion of the Yucatan, the Cayman Islands, Cuba, southern Florida, the Bahamas, the Yucatan Peninsula. Just some isolated showers in the greens. We also see some rainfall definitely expected for the Western British Virgin Islands, St. Martin, St. Kitts and Nevis, Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda, Dominica, Guadeloupe. Clearly, both the Euro and the GFS models are in agreement with this forecast. I know that when they're in agreement like this, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.